Michelle LaVaughn Robinson Obama is an American attorney and author who served as the First Lady of the United States from 2009 to 2017, being married to Barack Obama, the 44th President of the United States. Growing up on the South Side of Chicago, Michelle Obama never imagined that she'd become First Lady of the United States. She never imagined that one day, she would inspire people all around the world and drive historic change. As the daughter of a city water pump operator and a stay-at-home mom, girls like her aren't supposed to do any of that. But Michelle Obama has spent her life challenging us to reconsider where that supposed to comes from and who determines it. Her life shows us that you don't have to look a certain way or act a certain way to fit in, you don't have to make a lot of money or come from a certain group or class or faith in order to matter. Each of us can write our own story. And when we share those stories with one another, we can lift each other up along the way. That's why, as an author, Michelle speaks candidly about her experiences as a wife, mother, black woman, and First Lady of the United States, telling her story in a way that empowers others to see the beauty in their own. Through her advocacy work, she strives to help young people see the power of their voice and the boundless promise inside of them. Through film and television, she elevates stories and storytellers who have too often been ignored. And as a co-founder of a children's nutrition company, she's aiming to help raise a healthier generation of children. Michelle's passion for storytelling has set sales records and earned her global acclaim. Her memoir, Becoming a Moving Portrayal of Her Life's Journey and Path to the White House, spent over 130 weeks on the New York Times bestsellers list, sold more than 15 million copies worldwide, and won a Grammy Award. Her second book, The Light We Carry, Overcoming in Uncertain Times, also spent months on the New York Times bestsellers list. In it, she shares the lessons she's learned that have helped her rise above difficult circumstances. Through Higher Ground, which she co-founded with her husband in 2018, her work to share stories has won awards and accolades. Higher Ground's first film, American Factory, won the Academy Award for Best Documentary in 2020, and Crip Camp was nominated in the same category a year later. She produced and stars in Waffles Plus Mochi, a show that teaches children about their food and cooking through an adventurous part Yeti, part waffle tour guide. Higher Ground's Ada Twist, Scientist, and We the People each won a Children's and Family Emmy Award. The Light We Carry Netflix special recently earned an Emmy nomination for Outstanding Hosted Nonfiction Series or Special. Hoping to reach new, diverse audiences, Michelle joined the world of podcasting with the Michelle Obama Podcast on Spotify and Michelle Obama, the Light Podcast on Audible. At its release in 2020, the Michelle Obama Podcast was the most successful original in Spotify history, bringing in more women listeners over 40 than any other podcast. At the core of Michelle's story is a belief not just in telling stories aligned with her values, but in living out those values, especially when it comes to strengthening the next generation. Through the Obama Foundation, she leads the Girls' Opportunity Alliance, which supports global grassroots organizations that are working to make sure girls can get the education they deserve. Earlier this year, GOA launched a partnership with the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation and Clooney Foundation for Justice to promote girls' education and help end child marriage. At Reach Higher, she encourages high school graduates to pursue a secondary education, whether through community college, university, trade school, or military service. As part of When We All Vote, she urges young people to register to vote and get involved in the electoral process, reaching more than 100 million people during the 2020 election. And with Partnership for a Healthier America, she works to curb food inequity in our country. In 2022, they helped donate more than 1 million meals for families in need. And through Plezi Nutrition, a children's nutrition company launched in 2023, she is building upon the legacy of her White House Let's Move initiative, which she started in 2010 to help children across the country reach their highest potential. Plezi Nutrition intends to raise the bar for how we make and market food and beverages for our kids, jump-starting a race to the top that aims to transform the entire food industry. She serves as co-founder and strategic partner of the public benefit company that is on a mission to help raise a healthier generation of kids. Michelle's work since becoming First Lady builds upon her distinguished career in public service. As First Lady, she championed 4 major initiatives: Let's Move, work to help parents raise healthier kids; Joining Forces honored and supported our nation's service members, veterans, and their families; Reach Higher, which she still works on today, encouraged young people to pursue higher education; and Let Girls Learn promoted girls' education around the world, an effort that laid the groundwork for the Girls' Opportunity Alliance. Before her husband was elected president and her world changed overnight, she served as Vice President of Community and External Affairs for the University of Chicago Medical Center as well as Associate Dean of Student Services. Prior to that, she was Executive Director of the Chicago chapter of Public Allies, a nonprofit that helps prepare young people for careers in service. She began her career in public service working for the mayor's office in Chicago City Hall. Michelle met her husband Barack in 1989 at law firm Sidley Austin LLP, where she worked immediately after graduating from Harvard Law School. The two fell in love and married on the south side of Chicago, not far from where she grew up. They stayed on the south side to raise their 2 beautiful girls, Malia and Sasha, before moving to the White House. Of all the things she has achieved in her remarkable life, Michelle considers being a mother her greatest accomplishment. All this from the kind of girl who too often isn't expected to do much in life. Michelle Obama's story is a powerful reminder that we can't afford to overlook anyone, and even when other folks are selling us short or trying to tear us down, we're all better off when we go high. Raised on the south side of Chicago, Obama is a graduate of Princeton University and Harvard Law School. In her early legal career, she worked at the law firm Sidley Austin where she met her future husband. She subsequently worked in nonprofits and as the Associate Dean of Student Services at the University of Chicago. Later, she served as Vice President for Community and External Affairs of the University of Chicago Medical Center. Michelle married Barack in 1992, and they have 2 daughters. Obama campaigned for her husband's 2008 and 2012 presidential campaigns. She was the first African American woman to serve as First Lady. As First Lady, Obama worked as an advocate for poverty awareness, education, nutrition, physical activity, and healthy eating. She has written 3 books including her The New York Times best-selling memoir Becoming, 2018, and The Light We Carry, 2022. Michelle LaVaughn Robinson was born on January 17, 1964, in Chicago, Illinois, to Fraser Robinson III, 1935 to 1991, a city water plant employee and Democratic precinct captain, and Marian Shields Robinson, 1937 to 2024, a secretary at Spiegel's catalog store. Her mother was a full-time homemaker until Michelle entered high school. The Robinson and Shields families trace their roots to pre-Civil War African Americans in the American South. On her father's side, she is descended from the Gullah people of South Carolina's Lowcountry region. Her paternal great-great-grandfather, Jim Robinson, was born into slavery in 1850 on Friendfield Plantation, near Georgetown, South Carolina. He became a freedman at age 15 after the war. Some of Obama's paternal family still reside in the Georgetown area. Her grandfather, Fraser Robinson Jr., built his own house in South Carolina. He and his wife LaVaughn, née Johnson, returned to the Lowcountry from Chicago after retirement. Among her maternal ancestors was her great-great-great-grandmother, Melvania Dorsey Shields, born into slavery in South Carolina but sold to Henry Walls Shields, who had a 200-acre farm in Clayton County, Georgia, near Atlanta. Melvania's first son, Adolphus T. Shields, was biracial and born into slavery around 1860. Based on DNA and other evidence, in 2012, researchers said his father was likely 20-year-old Charles Marion Shields, son of Melvania's master. They may have had a continuing relationship, as she had 2 more mixed-race children and lived near Shields after emancipation, Taking his surname, she later changed her surname. As was often the case, Melvania did not talk to relatives about Dolphus's father. Dolphus Shields, with his wife Alice, moved to Birmingham, Alabama, after the Civil War. They were great-great-grandparents of Robinson, whose grandparents had moved to Chicago. Other of their children's lines migrated to Cleveland, Ohio, in the 20th century. All four of Robinson's grandparents had multiracial ancestors, reflecting the complex history of the United States. Her extended family has said that people did not talk about the era of slavery when they were growing up. Her distant ancestry includes Irish, English, and Native American roots. Among her contemporary extended family is Rabbi Capers Funai, her first cousin once removed, born in Georgetown, South Carolina. Funai is the son of her paternal grandfather's sister and her husband, and he is about 12 years older than Michelle. He converted to Judaism after college. Robinson's childhood home was on the upper floor of 7436 South Euclid Avenue in Chicago's South Shore community area, which her parents rented from her great-aunt, who had the first floor. She was raised in what she describes as a conventional home, with the mother at home, the father works, you have dinner around the table. Her elementary school was down the street. She and her family enjoyed playing games such as Monopoly, reading, and frequently saw extended family on both sides. She played piano, learning from her great-aunt, who was a piano teacher. The Robinsons attended services at nearby South Shore United Methodist Church. They used to vacation in a rustic cabin in White Cloud, Michigan. She and her 21-month older brother, Craig, skipped the second grade. Robinson's father suffered from multiple sclerosis, which had a profound effect on her. Subsequently, she was determined to stay out of trouble and perform well in school. By 6th grade, Michelle joined a gifted class at Bryn Mawr Elementary School, later renamed Boucher Academy. She attended Whitney Young High School, Chicago's first magnet high school, established as a selective enrollment school, where she was a classmate of Jesse Jackson's daughter Santita. The round-trip commute from the Robinsons' South Side home to the near West Side, where the school was located, took 3 hours. Michelle recalled being fearful of how others would perceive her, but disregarded any negativity around her and used it to fuel me, to keep me going. She recalled facing gender discrimination growing up, saying, for example, that rather than asking her for her opinion on a given subject, people commonly tended to ask what her older brother thought. She was on the honor roll for 4 years, took advanced placement classes, was a member of the National Honor Society, and served as student council treasurer. She graduated in 1981 as the salutatorian of her class. Education and early career. Robinson was inspired to follow her brother to Princeton University, which she entered in 1981. She majored in sociology and minored in African American studies, graduating cum laude with a Bachelor of Arts in 1985 after completing a 99-page senior thesis titled Princeton Educated Blacks and the Black Community under the supervision of Walter Wallace. Robinson recalls that some of her teachers in high school tried to dissuade her from applying, and that she had been warned against setting my sights too high. She believed her brother's status as a student in good standing, he graduated in 1983, might have helped her during the admission process, but she was resolved to demonstrate her own worth. She has said she was overwhelmed during her first year, attributing this to the fact that neither of her parents had graduated from college, and that she had never spent time on a college campus. The mother of a white roommate reportedly tried to get her daughter reassigned because of Michelle's race. Robinson said being at Princeton was the first time she became more aware of her ethnicity and, despite the willingness of her classmates and teachers to reach out to her, she still felt like a visitor on campus. There were also issues of economic class. I remember being shocked, she says, by college students who drove BMWs. I didn't even know parents who drove BMWs. While at Princeton, Robinson became involved with the Third World Center, now known as the Carlay Fields Center, an academic and cultural group who supported minority students. She ran their daycare center, which also offered after-school tutoring for older children. She challenged the teaching methodology for French because she felt it should be more conversational. As part of her requirements for graduation, she wrote a sociology thesis, entitled Princeton Educated Blacks and the Black Community. She researched her thesis by sending a questionnaire to African American graduates, asking that they specify when and how comfortable they were with their race prior to their enrollment at Princeton and how they felt about it when they were a student and since then. Of the 400 alumni to whom she sent the survey, fewer than 90 responded. Her findings did not support her hope that the black alumni would still identify with the African American community, even though they had attended an elite university and had the advantages that accrue to its graduates. Robinson pursued professional study, earning her Juris Doctor, J.D., degree from Harvard Law School in 1988. By the time she applied for Harvard Law, biographer Bond wrote, her confidence had increased. This time around, there was no doubt in her mind that she had earned her place. Her faculty mentor at Harvard Law was Charles Ogletree, who has said she had answered the question that had plagued her throughout Princeton by the time she arrived at Harvard Law, whether she would remain the product of her parents or keep the identity she had acquired at Princeton. She had concluded she could be both brilliant and black. At Harvard, Robinson participated in demonstrations advocating the hiring of professors who were members of minority groups. She worked for the Harvard Legal Aid Bureau, assisting low-income tenants with housing cases. She is the third First Lady with a postgraduate degree, after her two immediate predecessors, Hillary Clinton and Laura Bush. She later said her education gave her opportunities beyond what she had ever imagined. Michelle's mother, Marian Robinson, was a stay-at-home mother. Her father was Fraser C. Robinson III, who worked at the city's water purification plant. Robinson's father, Fraser, died from complications from his illness in March 1991. She would later say that although he was the hole in my heart and loss in my scar, the memory of her father has motivated her each day since. Her friend Suzanne Alley died from cancer around this time as well. These losses made her think of her contributions toward society and how well she was influencing the world from her law firm in her first job after law school. She considered this a turning point. Robinson met Barack Obama when they were among the few African Americans at their law firm, Sidley Austin LLP. She has sometimes said only two, although others have noted that there were others in different departments. She was assigned to mentor him while he was a summer associate. Their relationship started with a business lunch and then a community organization meeting where he first impressed her. Before meeting Obama, Michelle had told her mother she intended to focus solely on her career. The couple's first date was to Spike Lee's movie Do the Right Thing, 1989. Barack Obama has said the couple had an opposites attract scenario in their initial interest in each other since Michelle had stability from her two-parent home while he was adventurous. Married on October 3, 1992. After suffering a miscarriage, Michelle underwent in vitro fertilization to conceive their daughters Malia Ann, born 1998, and Natasha, known as Sasha, born 2001. The Obama family lived on Chicago's South Side, where Barack taught at the University of Chicago Law School. He was elected to the state Senate in 1996 and to the U.S. Senate in 2004. They chose to keep their residence in Chicago after Barack's election rather than to move to Washington, D.C., as they felt it was better for their daughters. Throughout her husband's 2008 campaign for U.S. president, Obama made a commitment to be away overnight only once a week, to campaign only 2 days a week and be home by the end of the second day for their two daughters. She once requested that her then-fiancé meet her prospective boss, Valerie Jarrett. When considering her first career move, Jarrett became one of her husband's closest advisors. The marital relationship has had its ebbs and flows. The combination of an evolving family life and beginning political career led to many arguments about balancing work and family. Barack Obama wrote in his second book, The Audacity of Hope, Thoughts on Reclaiming the American Dream, that tired and stressed, we had little time for conversation, much less romance. 67. Despite their family obligations and careers, they continued to try to schedule date nights while they lived in Chicago. The Obama's daughters attended the University of Chicago Laboratory Schools, a private school. As a member of the school's board, Michelle fought to maintain diversity in the school when other board members connected with the University of Chicago tried to reserve more slots for children of the university faculty. This resulted in a plan to expand the school to increase enrollment. In Washington, D.C., Malia and Sasha attended Sidwell Friends School, after also considering Georgetown Day School. In 2008, Michelle said in an interview on the Ellen DeGeneres show that they did not intend to have any more children. The Obamas received advice from past First Ladies Laura Bush, Rosalind Carter, and Hillary Clinton about raising children in the White House. Marian Robinson, Michelle's mother, moved into the White House to assist with child care. Obama was raised United Methodist and joined the Trinity United Church of Christ, a mostly black congregation of the Reformed denomination known as the United Church of Christ. She and Barack Obama were married there by Rev. Jeremiah Wright. On May 31, 2008, Barack and Michelle Obama announced that they had withdrawn their membership in Trinity United Church of Christ, saying, "Our relations with Trinity have been strained by the divisive statements of Reverend Wright, which sharply conflict with our own views." The Obama family attended several different Protestant churches after moving to Washington, D.C. in 2009, including Shiloh Baptist Church and St. John's Episcopal Church on Lafayette Square, known as the President's Church. At the 49th African Methodist Episcopal Church's General Conference, Michelle Obama encouraged the attendees to advocate for political awareness, saying, "To anyone who says that church is no place to talk about these issues, you tell them there is no place better, because ultimately, these are not just political issues, they are moral issues, they're issues that have to do with human dignity and human potential, and the future we want for our kids and our grandkids." Career. Following law school, Obama became an associate at the Chicago office of the law firm Sidley Austin, where she met her future husband Barack. At the firm, she worked on marketing and intellectual property law. She continues to hold her law license, but as she no longer needs it for her work, she has kept it on a voluntary inactive status since 1993. In 1991, she held public sector positions in the Chicago city government as an assistant to the mayor and as the assistant commissioner of planning and development. In 1993, she became executive director for the Chicago Office of Public Allies, a nonprofit organization encouraging young people to work on social issues in nonprofit groups and government agencies. She worked there nearly 4 years and set fundraising records for the organization that stood 12 years after she had left. Obama later said she had never been happier in her life prior to working to build Public Allies. In 1996, Obama served as the Associate Dean of Student Services at the University of Chicago, where she developed the university's Community Service Center. In 2002, she began working for the University of Chicago Hospitals, first as Executive Director for Community Affairs and, beginning May 2005, as Vice President for Community and External Affairs. She continued to hold the University of Chicago Hospital's position during the primary campaign of 2008 but cut back to part-time in order to spend time with her daughters as well as work for her husband's election. She subsequently took a leave of absence from her job. According to the couple's 2006 income tax return, her salary was $273,618 from the University of Chicago Hospitals, while her husband had a salary of $157,082 from the United States Senate. The Obamas' total income was $991,296, which included $51,200 that she earned as a member of the board of directors of Treehouse Foods and investments and royalties from his books. Obama served as a salaried board member of Treehouse Foods Incorporated. NYSE, THS, a major Walmart supplier from shortly after her husband was seated in the Senate until she cut ties shortly after her husband announced his candidacy for the presidency, He criticized Walmart labor policies at an AFL-CIO forum in Trenton, New Jersey, on May 14, 2007. She also served on the board of directors of the Chicago Council on Global Affairs. In 2021, the former First Lady announced that she has been moving toward retirement. Though she continues to be active in political campaigns, the former First Lady has said she is reducing the amount of work to spend more time with her husband. With the ascent of her husband as a prominent national politician, Obama became a part of popular culture. In May 2006, Essence listed her among 25 of the world's most inspiring women. In July 2007, Vanity Fair listed her among 10 of the world's best-dressed people. She was an honorary guest at Oprah Winfrey's Legends Ball as a young paying tribute to the legends who helped pave the way for African American women. In September 2007, 02138 magazine listed her 58th of the Harvard 100, a list of the prior year's most influential Harvard alumni. Her husband was ranked 4th. In July 2008, she made a repeat appearance on the Vanity Fair International Best Dressed list. She also appeared on the 2008 People list of Best Dressed Women and was praised by the magazine for her classic and confident look. At the time of her husband's election, some sources anticipated that as a high-profile African American woman in a stable marriage, Obama would be a positive role model who would influence the view the world has of African Americans. Her fashion choices were part of the 2009 Fashion Week, but Obama's influence in the field did not have the impact on the paucity of African American models who participate, that some thought it might. Obama's public support grew in her early months as First Lady, as she was accepted as a role model. On her first trip abroad in April 2009, she toured a cancer ward with Sarah Brown, wife of British Prime Minister Gordon Brown. Newsweek described her first trip abroad as an exhibition of her so-called star power, and MSN described it as a display of sartorial elegance. Questions were raised by some in the American and British media regarding protocol when the Obamas met Queen Elizabeth II, and Michelle reciprocated a touch on her back by the Queen during a reception, purportedly against traditional royal etiquette. Palace sources denied that any breach in etiquette had occurred. Obama has been compared to Jacqueline Kennedy due to her sense of style and also to Barbara Bush for her discipline and decorum. Obama's style has been described as fashion populist. In 2010, she wore clothes, many high-end, from more than 50 design companies with less expensive pieces from J.Crew and Target, and the same year a study found that her patronage was worth an average of $14 million to a company. She became a fashion trendsetter, in particular favoring sleeveless dresses, including her first-term official portrait in a dress by Michael Kors and her ball gowns designed by Jason Wu for both inaugurals. She has also been known for wearing clothes by African designers such as Mimi Plange, Duro Oloa, Makio, and Ose Duro, and styles such as the Adire fabric. Obama appeared on the cover and in a photo spread in the March 2009 issue of Vogue. Every First Lady since Lou Hoover, except Bess Truman, has been in Vogue, but only Hillary Clinton had previously appeared on the cover. Obama later appeared 2 more times on the cover of Vogue, while First Lady, the last time in December 2016, with photographs by Annie Leibovitz. In August 2011, she became the first woman ever to appear on the cover of Better Homes and Gardens magazine, and the first person in 48 years. In 2013, during the 85th Academy Awards, she became the first First Lady to announce the winner of an Oscar, Best Picture, which went to Argo. The media have been criticized for focusing more on the First Lady's fashion sense than her serious contributions. She said after the 2008 election that she would like to focus attention as First Lady on issues of concern to military and working families. In 2008, U.S. News & World Report blogger, PBS host, and Scripps Howard columnist Bonnie Irby argued that Obama's own publicists seemed to be feeding the emphasis on style over substance and said Obama was miscasting herself by overemphasizing style. For 3 straight years, 2018, 2019, and 2020, Obama topped the Gallup poll asking who is the most admired woman in the U.S. Time magazine features an annual Person of the Year cover story in which Time recognizes the individual or group of individuals who have had the biggest impact on news headlines over the previous 12 months. In 2020, the magazine decided to retroactively choose a historically deserving woman for each year in which a man had been named Person of the Year, reflecting the fact that a woman or women had been named Person of the Year only 11 times in the preceding 100. As part of this review, Michelle Obama was named the Woman of the Year for 2008. Since 1982, Siena College Research Institute has conducted occasional surveys asking historians and scholars to assess American first ladies according to a cumulative score on the independent criteria of their background, value to the country, intelligence, courage, accomplishments, integrity, leadership, being their own women, public image, and value to the president. Obama was ranked 5th best out of 39 in the 2014 survey, conducted during her husband's second term as president, and 3rd best out of 40 in 2020, the first survey conducted after the Obamas had left the White House. In May 2017, during an appearance at the Partnership for a Healthier America conference, Obama rebuked the Trump administration for its delay of a federal requirement designed to increase the nutritional standards for school lunches. In June, while attending the WWDC in Silicon Valley, California, Obama called for tech companies to add women for the diversifying of their ranks. In July, Obama honored Eunice Shriver at the 2017 ASPI Awards. In September, Obama delivered an address at the tech conference in Utah charging the Trump administration with having a fearful White House, appeared in a video for the Global Citizens Festival advocating more attention to giving young girls an education, and attended the Inbound 2017 conference in Boston. During an October 3 appearance at the Philadelphia Conference for Women, Obama cited a lack of diversity in politics with contributing to lawmakers being distrusted by other groups. In November, Obama discussed gender disparity in attitudes with Elizabeth Alexander while attending the Obama Foundation Summit in Chicago and spoke at the Bushnell Center for the Performing Arts in Hartford, Connecticut. In April 2018, Obama responded to speculation that she might be running for president by saying she has never had the passion for politics and that there are millions of women who are inclined and do have the passion for politics. On January 2, 2021, Obama encouraged Georgia residents to vote in the state's runoff in the U.S. Senate election and to contact Vote Riders, a nonprofit voter ID education organization, to make sure they have the necessary ID to vote. Obama attending a wreath-laying ceremony with her husband at the Tomb of the Unknown Soldier in Arlington National Cemetery after the inauguration of Joe Biden in 2021. On January 20, 2021, Obama and her husband attended the inauguration of Joe Biden. Michelle Obama wore a matching plum coat, sweater, pants, and belt designed by Sergio Hudson to the inauguration. In 2021, she was inducted into the National Women's Hall of Fame. On September 11, 2021, the Obamas attended a 9/11 memorial to commemorate the 20th anniversary of the attacks. On April 28, 2023, Obama, along with actress Kate Capshaw, joined Bruce Springsteen on stage during his show in Barcelona where they provided backing vocals and tambourine on Springsteen's song Glory Days. Amid media speculation over the candidacy of President Biden, Obama's office announced in March 2024 that she would not be running for president in the 2024 United States presidential election. According to a Reuters/Ipsos public opinion poll among 892 registered voters released on July 2, 2024, Michelle Obama was the only listed Democrat option who would defeat Trump in a confrontation, with 50% of the votes for Obama versus 39% for Trump. 55% of the voters also had a favorable view of Obama versus 42% toward Trump. On August 20, 2024, Obama gave the next-to-last address on the second night of the 2024 Democratic National Convention and then introduced the final speaker, her husband, former President Barack Obama. The New York Times called her speech electrifying and suggested she had outshone her husband. Obama's memoir, Becoming, was released in November 2018. By November 2019, it had sold 11.5 million copies. A documentary titled Becoming, which chronicles Obama's book tour promoting the memoir, was released on Netflix on May 6, 2020. She received the Grammy Award for Best Audiobook, Narration and Storytelling Recording in 2020. In July 2020, she premiered a podcast titled The Michelle Obama Podcast. It was followed in 2023 by Michelle Obama, the Light podcast based on topics in her 2022 book The Light We Carry and featured conversations held during her live book tour. In March 2025, she launched the podcast IMO with her brother Craig Robinson. Obama has made occasional guest appearances on TV shows, often portraying herself, iCarly in 2012, Parks and Recreation in 2014, NCIS in 2016, and Blackish in 2022. She received a Black Reel Awards for Television nomination for Outstanding Guest Actress, Comedy Series for her role in Blackish. In February 2021, Obama was announced as an executive producer and presenter on a children's cooking show, Waffles Plus Mochi. It was released by Netflix on March 16, 2021. More recently, Regina Hicks had signed a deal with Netflix alongside her and Barack's Higher Ground production company to develop comedies. She received 2 Children's and Family Emmy Awards at the first Children's and Family Emmy Awards, for Outstanding Short-Form Program, We the People, and Outstanding Preschool Animated Series, Ada Twist, Scientist. She produced the documentary film Crip Camp, 2020, and the biographical drama film Rustin, 2023. On July 21, 2022, it was announced that Obama's next book, The Light We Carry, Overcoming in Uncertain Times, would be published in November 2022. The book was published by Penguin Random House. In 2023, Obama received Primetime Emmy Award for Outstanding Hosted Nonfiction Series or Special Nomination at the 75th Primetime Creative Arts Emmy Awards for the Netflix documentary film The Light We Carry, Michelle Obama and Oprah Winfrey. Thank you for watching this video.